News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Denise Pellegrini. Fed independence, a topic today. Austin Goolsbee, president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, warning against President Trump's efforts to curtail the central bank's independence.
There's virtual unanimity among economists that monetary independence from political interference, that the Fed or any central bank be able to do the job that it needs to do, is really important. And they came to that not as a theory, but just by looking around the world at places where they don't have monetary independence. And the fact is, the inflation rate is higher, growth is slower, the job market is worse. So I strongly hope that we do not move ourselves into an environment where monetary independence is questioned, because that would undermine the credibility of the Fed.
Goolsbee on CBS Face the Nation. President Trump has expressed displeasure with Fed Chair Jay Powell, and his team is studying whether Powell can be removed, according to some reports. That's despite the questionable legal basis for doing so. The Supreme Court acted on, quote, unprecedented and legally questionable grounds when it blocked President Trump's administration from deporting Venezuelans to a notorious prison in El Salvador this weekend. That is according to Justice Samuel Alito in his dissent. The justice issuing the dissent to the High Court's order that for now bars the government from using the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to expel alleged Venezuelan gang members. Trump border czar Tom Homan says what they're doing is legal.
I'm not arguing over here that nobody should get due process. I'm just saying there's a different process under Alien Enemies Act, less of a process you see through Title VIII.
Holman there on ABC's This Week. Meantime, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen back from his visit with migrant Kilmar Abrego Garcia, taken off the street in Maryland and imprisoned in El Salvador. And Van Hollen continuing to press for Abrego Garcia's release.
My mission and my purpose is to make sure that we uphold the rule of law, because if we take it away from him, we do jeopardize it for everybody else.
Van Hollen on ABC's This Week. The Trump administration says the Maryland husband and father is a member of the MS-13 gang. Pope Francis making a surprise brief appearance at the Easter Sunday Mass at St. Peter's Basilica. The Popowski family among those watching.
We are very happy that we can saw a Pope in good shape.
And Vice President J.D. Vance also had a chance to see the Pope in person in a short Easter greeting meeting today. Vance met yesterday with top Vatican officials after rising tension between the vice president and the Vatican over President Trump's deportation policies. Opponents of President Trump's administration taking to the streets of communities across the U.S. yesterday, including in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Massachusetts. Netflix will be closely watched on Wall Street when trading resumes in the U.S. after the long holiday weekend. Peter Supino of Wolf Research says Netflix outlook beat his forecast, and he says the ad tier plans Netflix has are big and could be very profitable.
We think advertising revenue will exceed $2 billion this year, and the company let everybody know a few days ago, whether intentionally or not, that it envisions $10 billion of advertising over the long run. There's about $60 billion of long-form video advertising in the United States, so it's a really ambitious but still plausible target.
Supino there of Wolf Research. Some nervousness continues on Wall Street after President Trump unleashed new tariffs starting April 2nd and then walked some back. Dan Ives, managing director, Wedbush Securities, calls it a scary time for tech investors because of the trade war, especially between the U.S. and China.
No one knows the rules of the game, and I think that continues to be the issue here. What we're talking about now, could that change in the next hour? Yeah, it's possible. And I think that's set in stone, this sort of avalanche effect in terms of uncertainty that's cascading down.
Ives is managing director of Wedbush Securities. We'll be getting quarterly results from Intel this coming week. Also, Tesla reports quarterly results. Tesla Friday indicated it was delaying production launch of more affordable EVs. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky accusing Russia of creating a false appearance of honoring an Easter ceasefire, saying Moscow continued to launch attacks over the weekend, even after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a unilateral temporary truce. And Zelensky reiterating Ukraine's offer to extend the truce for 30 days when it ends midnight tonight local time. A draft Trump administration executive order is proposing a radical reduction and restructuring of the State Department. The order, seen by Bloomberg, would eliminate eliminate dozens of positions and departments, including those dealing with climate, refugees, democracy, and Africa, and would reorganize the State Department into 4 regional bureaus. The change would be made by October 1, according to the draft. Not clear if the entire contents of the draft order will be signed off on by President Trump. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Denise Pellegrini, and this is Bloomberg.